Brian, talk to us a little bit about yourself and your background and how you kind of got into this multifamily space.
I was about ready to buy a building when a very good friend of mine who's a real estate attorney suggested that I start talking to folks like yourself and other industry experts and consider the possibility of syndicating. So I did. I immersed myself into that over the last several months, and since then I've invested in 6 deals passively for over 1,300 doors. I'm a KP on 1 deal. I'm currently underwriting and looking at being a deal sponsor with a couple of other folks here in the next month or two. And my goal by the end of this year is to have another 6 properties and to essentially be in a position where I can retire and live off that passive income. So,
how did you first hear about passiveinvesting.com?
Over the internet. I think I was just, going to Bigger Pockets, and I was doing research over the internet, and your website came up and your meetup group came up, and so I immediately went to your site and started seeing all the good information that you were sharing with everybody out there, the podcasts, the newsletters, and so I jumped on it immediately. And I got to tell you, you've been extremely helpful, so I want to thank you for that.
Oh, well, thank you. What was it about our group that kind of built enough confidence that you were able to, wire that first amount of money to, trust us with your investment in your portfolio?
Well, I think it was a couple of things. I mean, one, you had a track record. Two, your partner is a numbers guy. He's a CFO, and he was very analytical. And I listened very carefully to your investor presentation and paid attention to your underwriting, and I was comfortable with all of that. For me, I like the fact that it gave me some diversification, because a lot of my investments have been in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, Houston, St. Petersburg, Florida, but I hadn't invested in the Carolinas. But I do know the Carolinas is a very hot part of the country, because I used to travel there a lot for business. And also you're focused on Class A buildings, where the other buildings I was investing in were Class C. And then the big thing for me was your distribution payout started immediately, and you paid out monthly, where a lot of the other investments I was in pay out quarterly, and they don't pay out for the first 6 to 9 months until they start to stabilize the property. So from a passive investor's perspective, that was very attractive.
So what would you say to somebody who's maybe kind of been on the fence, or maybe hasn't invested with our group yet, that you can maybe kind of give them kind of a word of advice or encouragement about, investing with us based on your own experience with our group?
Well, I would say, look carefully at your underwriting and your presentation, ask questions, maybe talk to other people like myself that have invested with you in the past. I mean, at the end of the day, they've got to get comfortable with you as a deal sponsor and Danny as a deal sponsor, and they've got to get comfortable with the building and the investment. And, if they are nervous, which a lot of people are understandably nervous in the beginning, put a small amount in to start with. I mean, when I look back on it, I wish I'd put a lot more into the investment I made, and the next one I will, for sure. So,
well, thank you so much, Brian, for doing this testimonial. It'll be helpful for a lot of our potential investors, and thank you for being one of our partners in our properties.
You're very welcome. Thank you, Dan.